measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls. The measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls.
We create
the smart, powerful, creative, accomplished young women.
We can fight.
I'm here because of you. I'm here because girls like you inspire me. Many of these girls have faced unthinkable obstacles just to attend school. The measure of any society.
Of Surly Voices here on WMNF Tampa 88.5. My name is Liz. I'm one of your hosts, and my co-host Maria is joining me from South Florida. How are you, Maria?
I'm great, but I'm actually in DC right now.
Oh, okay. So the majority of our panel is up in DC right now. Welcome to Miss Donna. How are you, Donna?
I am in a hotel in Foggy Bottom in Washington, D.C. And I am, recently released from the hold of the United States Capitol Police, where I am fighting for your rights, folks.
Donna is up in D.C. protesting the proposed cuts to Medicaid and has a lot of, as usual, Donna's like the magic that the camera looks for when the photographers are snapping photos. So
they do find me.
They find you, and you always look fierce and absolutely apropos to the moment. So thank you so much for going to D.C. and doing the work on the ground. For those folks like me who can't leave on the spur of the moment, it's, one day I will be able to do that, but today is not the day. Anyway, if you guys want to give us a call, 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. So tell us the tale, Donna. How did it all go down?
Okay, so we came from all around the country. There was a huge contingency for Alaska. Word on the street is that Murkowski, who is a Republican senator, is seriously considering becoming a Democrat. 40% of the people in Alaska, I'm told, are recipients of Medicaid. And so she is not here for the chicanery.
Yeah.
Coming out of D.C. Josh Hawley, Missouri, also going at it with Trump. This is like young MAGA guy, and he is up in arms because his seat is vulnerable in the midterms, and he is very concerned about the path that the administration has taken with cuts to Medicaid and other things that leave his constituents exposed. Also, up next was, let's see who we had, Murkowski, Susan Collins in Maine. Susan Collins in Maine, as we know, is definitely plays the bipartisan game. I think people don't like her. It's a reflection of her constituents, right? I think that she governs a state. I've been in Maine. I've worked in Maine. I think that her state are socially liberal and fiscal conservatives. If it does exist, it exists in Maine. It's Can America, right? It's like part Canada and part America. People know how to be rude and polite at the same time. So you can see the American and the British aspects there. Now, the folks in Maine are pushing back hard against Medicaid cuts. And then the usual firebrands like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, AOC, they're all in the hopper here. But we were bird dogging and visiting the offices and telling our stories to these particular people, because those votes are up in the air right now. It says they said Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, and Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, declined to say Wednesday whether they would vote to proceed to the bill if their concerns about Medicaid cuts remain unsolved. The Senate Finance Committee on Wednesday circulated a proposal to establish a $15 billion healthcare provider relief fund, but Collins said it wouldn't be adequate to keep many rural hospitals, same thing that Hawley is saying, from going out of business.
Right.
Wall Street Journal, conversely, and I was reading early this morning to prepare for this, Wall Street Journal did an article on the Medicaid hospital scam. So once again, the folks with money are furthering the narrative that Medicaid is some type of ruse for folks to steal lots of money. And I'm sure Rick Scott has something to say about that. But
Voldemort.
So there you go, y'all. That's what we got going. So 60 people were arrested yesterday. And I've given you the context for that. Lots of people came from Alaska who are wheelchair bound. From Alaska.
And the cops handcuffed them. There's video we can post.
Very much like the 60s, where people were being beaten and having milkshakes poured on their heads. When Americans see folks in wheelchairs, there was one guy who had no vision. He was blind, and they took his stick.
Oh my gosh.
They took his stick, and then he was just sitting there with his handcuffs on. We finally got them. Now, let me say this about the Capitol Police. Capitol Police understand these are civil arrests. And I know we say ACAB, right? Mm-hmm. But if there is a nice police officer, I would say 95% of these guys it would be like if your friend was arresting you. Because when they arrest you, they have to keep their hand on you. And the officer, he just kind of put his arm around my shoulder, like, and squeezed, like, you're okay. And then when we were getting on the bus, they rolled up the air-conditioned bus.
Oh, nice.
They rolled the bus up with the wheelchair ramp. So the air-conditioned bus, which my sister was here, she got on the air-conditioned bus, right? And I think they hate me because I always get processed first. They snatch me off the floor. I lay down because we were supposed to lay down like we were dead.
Yeah.
So I lay down on the floor, and how do they find me? How do they find me out of everyone?
You put off this welcoming energy for, hey, come and talk to me. I know stuff.
For cops? I hope not the police. So they come. Deborah's walking around. She's on MSNBC. She's on Reuters. She's on the AP, holding up these signs. Medicaid cuts kill. She's wearing a blue hat and a white shirt, and running around there like the Muppet Caper, just going around and around and around like she did the last time. And I'm lying on the floor, and they just make a beeline for me, like, come here. And the guy said, "You're gonna get up for me?" Because most people make them pick them up, and I said, "Yeah, because I don't know what you're gonna pull." And I'm past the age where you could just pull randomly on limbs and have that go well.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, my thumb here is still swollen.
Oh.
As you can see compared to the other one.
Yeah.
It's still very much, you can't see much texture there. And I still don't have feeling right here.
Oh.
Because when we were sitting in the van, the drama always finds me. You know this. All my friends know this about me already. The van that I was in had someone who was talking to people that weren't there. And also, when somebody decided they were going to have some type of attack, so we had to pull our van over to the side of the road on the way to the clearinghouse, to the patty, to the La Pinta. Okay. We had to pull over. The officer takes her off the back of the truck and sits her directly in the sun against the metal of the van.
Ow.
And not on purpose, but when they got out and they were like, if it's heat, she's right in the sun. And they were both in the sun. And I was like, they're both going to die now. Now we're going to have the officer that's down and the prisoner. Because they're standing direct. It was 100 and some odd degrees in DC yesterday. So who decides to get arrested on the hottest state God ever made? Now, the ambulance came and took her, and she refused to care. So, yeah. So anyway, that was a big part. They put us in lines on purple, pink, green, and they processed us. The whole thing took about, if you take a civil arrest in DC, for folks who are interested, these arrests are usually planned. They are some political theater and the protest of political theater, right? And so the officers know this, and so it's not like we're criminals, we've committed a crime. We are exercising our right to redress our government, our grievances to our government via our highways and byways, and also our houses of legislation and administration. So that's what we do. We fly up here, we do the thing, we're processed. We're treated like human beings. We get the plastic handcuffs. By the time we got to processing, most people needed to have their handcuffs moved from the back to the front because of shoulder strain and other previous injuries, or just the fact they were too tight. And the officers, once we were all sat down and they could see everybody, they did that for us. They brought out cold water. The sergeant was bringing out cold water to people. They put the fans on us because the processing area, the warehouse we were in, didn't have air conditioning, but it was cool, right? Because they had huge fans running and they were passing around ice cold water to everybody. So we were not being punished by the Capitol Police. They've been through some things.
Yeah.
They've been through some stuff. And then they saw their people who murdered and harmed them be pardoned. So they're probably more with us.
Sure.
But they couldn't say anything.
Right.
But when we were telling our stories, they rushed us out of there so fast. When we say mic check, everybody has to repeat what they hear because it amplifies the voice of the speaker. One of the officers said, we said, mic check. The officer said, mic check. And I was like, who is with us? This is great. And he was like listening and nodding his head like he was at the protest, right? And remember, DC is like 96% Democrat. So the vast majority of people who live in the DMV are not going to be Trump supporters. Right, that's going to happen as you get deeper down into Virginia. So that's my story for yesterday.
Nice. So what happens, all right, with a civil arrest, if you get civilly arrested, it doesn't go on your permanent record or anything like that?
No, it's civil. It's like, you can't find a person's any type of civil offense. Now, people who, if they tell you, this is what they tell you. They tell you, the last time I did this was after Dobbs' decision.
Yeah.
That took away Roe v. Wade.
Right.
And we did that. My son did that. No, we did Medicaid. It was Manny it was my son that did the Dobbs, right? And he put the pictures on his dating website and he says, chicks love it. So I'm getting arrested for reproductive rights and all the girls are like, oh my God, you're such an amazing
Well, of
guy.
course, yeah. That's smart, yeah.
He cares about my uterus. Yes, he does. So anyway, the civil arrest is just a civil matter. It's like getting a traffic ticket.
Okay.
Liken it to a traffic ticket. However, if you get more civil arrests than they will allow, in other words, you can't make a career out of it.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, you don't need to get arrested. Some people do 2 in a year, but generally speaking, you need to do 1 every 12 months.
And that's your allotment.
Right. And so basically, and they'll have or if they have a warrant. If they have a warrant for your arrest, you're going to stay in jail.
Yeah.
So last night they had people who had more than one, and they did take them to central processing at the county, 10 people, and they were all released. So they weren't really trying to take people and give them the business.
Right.
So I was going to do July 9th, but I decided to take yesterday with Deborah. But some people needed to. I brought people from Tampa. I brought Trevor. Trevor Rosine came. Jen Ogwin came, who was with me when we almost got murdered doing disaster relief in Puerto Rico. And Dr. Cole is up here. And my sister, my son,
I saw
and
Nadia.
Nadia.
OG Nadia, for you guys who've been listening. For you guys who have been listening to us from the very beginning, like 8 years ago, Nadia was one of the original hosts of the show. So I saw her yesterday. I saw Betty Ann. Some of the folks I didn't know, but yeah, it looked like a good turnout.
We met Medea Benjamin. and we got to take, and there are a lot of people in our audience who know who she is. She was on the flotilla, like a lot of international celebrities / activists. The thing about Medea is that, she be stunting for the gram low key, but not really, because she was doing it before the gram was a thing.
Oh, okay.
Right? It just happened that the gram met her on the path. And she's a tiny little woman. And of course I went over and I gushed and I was like, oh my God, you're like the boss biatch of all the boss protests. I mean, she was doing it before BLM, right?
Oh, wow.
I remember I was in the big bloggers tent in Colorado where I lived at the time. And I said, dragged my son out of school because I took him on all these. That's how he got stuff like this. But he was with me and we were managing the VIP area. And somebody heard screaming outside. And I was like, what is that? And people were like, I don't know. So everybody runs to look outside. And there's Code Pink with their pink shirts on, everything pink, because they're feminists, right, as well. And they were anti-war, anti anything a leftist would be anti, right? Mm-hmm. And they were out there raising holy
hell.
And that was the first time I had seen someone do that. And so Nadia and Trevor and Betty Ann and Manny and I took a picture. No, Manny wasn't in the picture, with Medea Benjamin, which we'll post on Zoe Voices page.
Okay, that'll be interesting, yeah. All right, so I have a couple of emails here. One of them, let's see. This is from Jerome. He says, what's it going to take for Liz, Donna, and Maria to get at least the following half hour? No offense to Dr. Wolf, but an hour just isn't enough. Surly. Jerome. Thank you, Jerome. That's so nice. Then I've got one. It says, I'm so glad to hear that Donna is safe and has been released. This is from Gretchen. The Gretchen that we know. Yes, thank you.
A lawyer Gretchen.
Yes.
The Innocence
Gretchen.
Project, super lawyer Gretchen, yes.
Yeah.
Activist lawyer Gretchen.
And then Jiminy says, I'm so glad you're safe. Thank you so much for going up there and telling us all about it, Jiminy. Thanks, guys. So nice. So what else do we have on the agenda today? Maria, you got anything top of mind?
I mean, just to piggyback off of what Donna was talking about, I just want to remind folks that Josh Hawley was one of the ardent supporters of the insurrection. And now all of a sudden, do you remember everyone leaving Capitol Hill with his fist raised?
Yes.
At all the protesters, and now all of a sudden he's like, oh, wait, but don't come after my state's Medicaid, right? But, the thing about yesterday that I just could not, I'm still trying to reconcile in my head is that on the same day that they were handcuffing people in wheelchairs and people with white canes, Jeff Bezos is planning his wedding this weekend. And like all of these people, here we are in the rotunda, and all of these people are getting arrested. And because this government wants to give that guy a tax cut. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That all of these people are sacrificing for that guy to get a tax cut. How much more does he need?
Exactly.
How much more does he need?
I mean, because it's not like he's out there, providing free lunch for folks. I mean, he's not very philanthropic as philanthropists go. And so it's like he's not even trying to share any of it. He's just blowing it all and making a spectacle.
Right.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just a profound contrast in where we are and what we're doing. And I think we ought to like address it in some way. The other thing I think we should talk about is the New York primary, Democratic primary for mayor. Yes. Can we have that conversation?
Absolutely. For those of you who have not heard, the Democratic primary was held in New York for the mayor position, and alleged woman harasser Cuomo was like the darling to win for some reason. I don't know why Democrats keep going back to the well for the folks who don't respect women's rights. But anyway, the guy who actually won was quite a surprise.
Zohran Mamdani.
Mamdani, yeah.
Mamdani.
Now, aside from being a democratic socialist
And kind of fine.
he is kind of fine. He harkens back to the days of remember there was that one photo with Obama and Trudeau and another fine head of state. And it was like, wow, this really looks good. This guy would slip into that picture, no problem at all.
He definitely could use, if I had more sugar, I would be a sugar mama. Because I like to sprinkle some sugar on him.
Maybe Bezos can give us some sugar and we can.
Well, you know what? He's even though Lauren had her own money and her own accomplishments, because we're a feminist show, we have to say that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she came in and she had her own. She was a pilot. She was teaching how to fly planes, and then she taught him other things. But a little spicy this morning. But he definitely when you compare the two of them, he definitely is a sugar daddy, but he ain't made her sweet yet. It was a little sour. So she needs some more sugar. But go on. The New York City election.
So,
I'm sorry.
Just so happens, Mamdani is also Muslim, from what I understand. I don't.
He is.
Yes, he is Muslim, and all these vote blue, no matter who people. They need to be stepping up because there is so much hatred online for this guy for no good reason other than, he's not a woman molesting Cuomo, but there we go. All right, let's talk to Pat real quick. She's been hanging on a minute. Hi, Pat.
Hey, just wanted to say, Mamdani is a Muslim and pro human rights for everybody, Palestine. I think that's why people don't like him. But I called to say that in order to keep a more well-rounded international perspective, I listened to the public broadcasting stations in other countries like France 24 or Deutsche Welle in Germany or Al Jazeera. Anyways, but I wanted to say, did you see the thing about Bezos and the wedding, what the protesters did? They not only unfurled that big banner in the middle of where they were going to have their wedding stuff and said, if you can afford to rent the entire area of Venice, you can afford to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
Saw that.
Yes, that was great.
The protesters had inflatable crocodiles that they were going to put in the
I love that. I love that.
What was the other thing? Oh, they also did an effigy of Bezos, and they put it on a cardboard like an Amazon box. And it was floating in the water, and Bezos is crawling out of the water with his hand up, and his hand is full of money. And that's floating in the Venetian waterways, too. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. It's kind of cool. That was on France 24 this morning. So, okay, doing a good job, ladies, okay?
Thank you so much, Pat.
It.
Bye-bye. Inflatable
I love it.
alligators. I need to get me some of those, yeah. So anyway, all the hatred directed at this guy and folks, and I'm like, okay, wait, what happened to vote blue no matter who? Oh, it's vote blue no matter who unless they're Muslim and supporting Palestine.
Or under 70.
Or under 70. Thank you. Chuck Schumer just went to the clinic yesterday because he had some kind of issue. And it's like, what is the aversion to having folks of middle age, at least, and go from there? It's why do we have to have the relics of the past still clinging for dear life to their seats.
Listen, the Chuck Schumers and the geriatrics of the party have caused young people to inherit a world that makes no sense.
Right.
That absolutely makes no sense, right? You've got, we talked to people yesterday that have over $250,000 in student loan debt, like next to impossible to recover from.
Right.
And with no prospects and no living wages and everything for their future is untenable. And for the seniors to take issue with that is just I can't make sense of it. I really cannot.
I know lots of elderly folks. My dad, for one, and he was like, he's in his 80s, and he's like, I don't know how these people and he has not been a slouch intellectually in his quote unquote retirement. He usually gets 2 or 3 jobs going, but he's like, I don't know how these people think we can, they can keep going full steam. I can't do things that I used to do 10 years ago. So, I mean, if quote unquote normal people can see that, their faculties fade after a while, do the folks in DC just think they're immune to it?
It's I don't know. I think that they're living in a glass house, an ivory tower or something. I'm here in my best friend's house, right? And I said to him, he lives here in DC, and Eleanor Holmes Norton is 88, and she's debating whether or not she should run for re-election.
Okay, she is older than my daddy. So.
She's 88 years old. Like, like her pension is on lock. She shouldn't have to worry about that. Like, but the other part of the issue is, and he and I had this conversation the other day. The other part of the issue is they haven't prepared people to succeed them. There's no succession plan.
Yeah.
Right? So, they're out there. They have not bothered. They haven't considered. They have not considered what happens next, and they have not. They've left this vacuum, and I think that I don't know, Donna, help me out with this number. Like, I think 5 Democrats since January have died in office in Congress.
I think we lost 3.
3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We lost 3.
Jerry Conley.
Mm-hmm. Sylvester Turner.
And no, the woman from the other woman from Texas.
Yeah, we lost her, and then Sylvester Turner went ahead and, in his divine wisdom, with stage 4 brain cancer, took her seat.
Wow.
And then he died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, use common sense, folks. Gosh.
Right?
Stage 4 brain cancer, you don't have that long. Go enjoy your life somewhere.
Sheila Jackson Lee had pancreatic cancer.
Right.
Jerry Conley had throat cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvester Turner had brain cancer.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
So there we are, right? That is what we're up against. So because one day I hope to be 80 one day, right? I hope to be 60 one day. So what I'm trying to do is since I crossed a certain milestone, I look and I go, okay, I want to be that type of 70-year-old. I want to be that type of 60-year-old. And hopefully I get to make it to 80 still making my own coffee, and getting in my own bed at night. This is our hope for our old age. I would like to get older. I don't have anything against getting older. I've got fine lines and forehead creases to show and gray hair to show that, I'm a mature woman. So this is not about ageism. This is about if I'm 74 and I know that I have Alzheimer's disease, or if I have an aggressive form of cancer, or my cancer has come back, I am going to give up my Supreme Court seat.
Yeah.
Okay, during an era and before my president is a lame duck. When you don't do things like that, you're not helping us.
Right.
Even if you were 30 and you had an aggressive blastoma, right, then it would probably be best to go ahead and give that seat up while you can. And then these Republican states like Texas, where you have this governor, I almost said something that you're not supposed to say. It's in my head forever. When you have these red states, they don't just move to replace. You just don't have that seat for months and months. It's dangerous.
Right. And what about there was a Republican congresswoman who is in a memory care nursing home in Texas right now, and she is still in her seat. Like, come on, you guys.
Yeah. It's to me, as a professional, I feel like I have a responsibility to mentor the next generation coming up. There should be the same kind of philosophy in Congress, and you should want to not mess everything up. I mean, the hubris, it's great. Like RGB, absolutely perfect example. If she had stepped down, if she had resigned while she could still be replaced, we wouldn't have Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court.
Yep. I kind of think I have two theories. One of them is just their ego, but my other theory is like, the whole thing about the race between for committee assignments and stuff like that with Jerry Connolly against AOC and stuff, and the leadership getting behind the terminally ill guy. I kind of think that part of that, though, is that, and this is my theory, I kind of think that part of that is special interest groups. That a lot of these lobbyists, if their person isn't chairing that committee, and you have people who are not taking special interest money, it's going to be a problem for them. So they're going to rather prop up the terminal guy than to make way for the next generation of people that they have no control over.
Right. Gosh. Well, Ray from Lakeland is on the line, and I think he's got a solution for us. If y'all want to call, give us a call at 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. All right, so let's see what Ray in Lakeland has to say. Hi, Ray.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. So I was listening, and I'm thinking, like, you women do such a great job. I appreciate every moment that you're on the radio, and I want to thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was listening to your concerns about how our elderly representatives are aging out to the grave. It doesn't make sense for so many reasons.
Yeah.
So I knew a gentleman who was a state congressman in Minnesota, and he was mentoring young people. When I lived in Utah, he was mentoring young people in Utah who were tied to some of the polygamy and some of the family abuse issues. And he was taking on people's stories, and he was sharing those stories through an email, community. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I'm a street guy. So you could see some great things. I might be on the news, at a food pantry, but you might also see me hanging out with homeless people and think that I'm one of them, which doesn't bother me because I'm about my Father's business. But what I heard that to me, if you've got special interests, those people have to consider what the special interest, backers are, why they're giving you the money. The New York, the clip I saw from New York from the debate was would you, where would you go if you took a foreign trip abroad as the New York mayor? And you had all these people saying, oh, I'm going to go over to this country. I'm going to go over to this country and, make my presence known and show them my support. What does that have to do with New York? What does that have to do with New York at all?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between going after the money and representing the people and stepping out for the people. I don't think you're going to find a 22-year-old or 30-year-old that is as adamant if they don't have direct ties. And then when that switchover happens, when you see that they're promoting Monsanto's or they're promoting, Amazon or the labor movements or not the labor movements, excuse me, but the establishment, you say, oh, well, who donated at their last campaign? All right, we need to go. And we need to have a way, all these lawyers who make laws that just hire more lawyers. No, we need to have laws to where if someone's not representing us, we can have a special election to get rid of them. Not even to have another candidate posted, but to get rid of them. I mean, because when somebody turns their back on you, if you're in a relationship, you can leave. But we're stuck with them for 2 years. We're stuck with them for 4 years. We're stuck with them. That makes zero sense in 2025.
Amen.
I mean,
yeah.
I can vote for America's Next Top Model or, American Idol on my phone. So why do I have to sit and listen to Marco Rubio? Why do I have to listen to Marco Rubio if I feel like he betrayed me?
Exactly.
That's just an example. That's just an example. And currently, I think Marco Rubio is probably doing the hardest job and the best job of everybody in Washington right now. That's at that level. But if the system's unfair, then if they're playing in our face.
All right. Thank you.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you so much for calling, Ray. It's been very nice talking to you.
I love your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, let's talk to Jim in St. Pete. Hi, Jim.
Hey, no, it's Kim with a K, but that's all right.
Oh, Kim with a K. Okay.
I love your show.
Thank you.
You talk about the oldsters. I'm an oldster. But the problem isn't so much the oldsters, it's their power team that, hey, if their head gets taken off, they're all out of jobs. And
so, you have a lot of assistants and aides and stuff propping up the corpses.
And they're the ones, exactly, and they're the ones holding on to the power. Plus, there's an old adage, boxers never know when to retire.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one.
Until their brains are scrambled.
Oh.
And even then they go back into the ring.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that's what these politicians all are. It's all about the fame and glory.
Right.
It has nothing to do with about leading a country. I'm just such a pessimist. But that's all I had to say.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Kim. It was nice hearing from you.
Love your show.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So, Kim's got a point, because in the book about Biden that I read, one of the main things was how his little tight circle pretty much ran interference for everything that was done, and people who should have been able to have fairly easy access to Biden didn't have it because this inner circle.
But there has to be some sort of thing like political Darwinism. You know what I mean? Like, if your ideas and your capacity have expired, then you have to find the exit. I'm not like, if I am no longer useful in my job, and that includes the people around the person that's elected.
Right.
If I am no longer useful and I am no longer of service, right, then I too should find the exit. The thing about it is, you have young people, if they are younger people, I should say, because we could talk about Congress and have young people be 60 at this point, right?
Right.
But new people are still going to need staff. But I think that you have to be good at your job. But if you are still like, well, this is the way we've always done it, No, like
That's
there's
yeah.
such like we have evolved as a species. We have evolved, I would hope, as a democracy. I mean, sometimes I'm not so sure, but if you are no longer of service to the American people, it's time for you to go.
Right.
Whether you are staff or an elected officer.
Exactly. And, it seems as though the Democratic Party's motto is we've always done it this way, and it because we've always done it this way. Yeah. And I think that's part of what is really driving some of this animus toward Mamdani in New York is, okay, wait, it was this guy, Como, and he, in other words, if the DNC could have put their fingers on the scale, they certainly would have in New York. Because
I think they tried. I think we don't know yet, but I would love to know just how many new primary voters he brought into the process.
right.
Like people who never thought that they would be voting in the primary. They just would, because a lot of people don't vote in the primary. It's just that they accept what the party gives them, and then they vote in the general election, if they vote at all. But I think that, I was watching a bunch of his TikToks and reels and like short little videos. And he has it's a very intimate connection he has with people when he's saying, I just voted for myself. He goes, but you're not voting for me. You're voting for yourself too in this next election. It was just this very intimate. And I watched a bunch of different ones where his dialogue with people was just very he has a very good command of media.
Yes.
Right? I was very impressed by that. Making the argument. I watched a lot of his his material, and I'm just impressed by the way he can connect with people. And there should be nothing wrong with that. That should be the effort should be made by every single politician to do that. Because at the end of the day, it's public service, right?
Right. And he ran on a very progressive platform, affordable housing being one. I mean,
Daycare. All of the things that make living in New York oppressive.
Right.
You can't afford the rent. You don't get paid enough. You can't. So he's like a living wage. You can't afford the rent, so rent freezes. You can't afford childcare, so we're not having kids in this city. And and we can't afford to get to work if we and everything was economics, and if you spent any time in New York, you could see that the living in New York for the average person was just oppressive.
Yeah. And then, and so people who say, oh, well, that's too progressive for us. Well, this is what we have been saying. We have been saying that there is going to be a candidate who runs on progressive ideals, who's going to, take the spotlight and show people in the DNC anyway, that they're absolutely wrong in trying to slide down the Republican train with the Cheneys. So, yeah, it's like, what are they thinking? Why would you ever go pandering to Republicans and
moneyed interests
and ignore the largest part of your potential voting base? All right, let's talk to Pat in Seminole. Hi, Pat.
Hey, please forgive the second call. The gentleman said there was nobody else in line, so it was okay.
Yes.
So I wanted to say that the young man who called a little while ago about the where would you go on your first trip in elected office, that's an AIPAC question, because what happens, like when people get elected, they get this maybe even free. I mean, look at the governors in Florida. As soon as they're elected, first place they go is to Israel. And so that's what the nature of the question is. It's not just like, where would you like to go? This is about, are you supporting Israel? And then,
Oh, okay.
It's not even just the governors. It's our county commissioners here in Palm Beach County, our state legislators. That is the first trip that they go to too, as well.
yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to say is if you wanted more stuff on Mamdani, the Stephen Colbert pre-election interview had Mamdani, and then I don't know if the Jewish opponent
Landers.
of that election. What's his name?
Yeah, Landers. His
So
last name is Landers. He came in third.
Yeah, and they each endorsed the other in the election because Landers is Jewish and Mamdani is Muslim, and they each co-endorsed each other. And in the Colbert interview, which is really interesting, he was asking about support for Israel-Palestine, that specific issue, and that particular issue was answered so wonderfully, saying, I believe in human rights for everybody, that they got a lot of voters they wouldn't have otherwise for that particular question. So if anybody wants to see the background on that, watch the Colbert interview, okay?
All right. Thanks, Pat.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's talk to Art in Lakeland. Hi, Art.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I know you already passed this section, but about Congress, what really aggravates me is no matter how good or bad a job you do in Congress, it's seniority that lets you move up, and become committee, leaders and all. Whether you've done a good job in the time you've been there has nothing to do with it. It's just how many years you spend. They keep moving you up in seniority.
It's like when they promote kids in school that didn't really learn anything.
Yeah.
Or how much money you raise and where you get it from.
Right. If you work for a corporation, if you're not a good, smart individual, you don't move up in the corporation. You stay, pushing the broom or, middle management. But, Marjorie Taylor Greene has never passed the bill hardly in her life.
Right.
And yet now she's running committee.
Wow. Yeah.
Just because she's been there longer.
Wow. Okay.
That's what's aggravating.
That's a good point. So, yeah, it's like a race for the top, but the race is really, really slow.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
Thank you, Art. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. Let me see about some text messages. That's the trouble for some of these elderly Democrats. Who will the Republican governor appoint? No name. Okay. Katie Travis St. Pete. I don't know what that means. All right. Hi, ladies. Eventually, Congress will be just a bunch of brains in jars. With young pages with them to help clean them and to push the voting button. Or they'll be like Emperor Palpatine in the Rise of Skywalker movie, connected to life support machines with freaking lightning bolts coming out of their hands. David, Mr. White Pep Bryant. Thank you, David. That's kind of what's going on now. I can still remember the Feinstein. When they would take Feinstein out of her car and put her in the wheelchair, and it was just like, you could tell just looking at her that she didn't have any idea where she was.
She was over 90.
Yeah. All right, here's one. The election victory was made possible by ranked choice voting. No name on that one. Is that true, Maria?
I think honestly though, I think that what you have to do, and I don't know how I feel yet about ranked choice voting, because I feel like it takes, like, ranked choice voting also got you Eric Adams in New York. Let's not forget, right? I think, and then people started to say, yo, I didn't mean for that to happen. How did we get here? And it requires a learning curve, right?
Right.
And I think that what I'm struggling with is the privilege around ranked choice voting, right? Because I think that people who have out the gate promote ranked choice voting are people of privilege. They can afford to wait a couple of cycles for it to get right. There are people who are really struggling that cannot afford a one term, let alone 2 terms, of people like Eric Adams or Mario Cuomo or something like that. There are people really living on the margins, and we forget about people who are really struggling when we say, "Oh, it'll take a cycle or 2, and then it'll work itself out." Right? I feel like if that is our position, and rather than a commitment to really doing the work. And in this case, what I saw was Mamdani doing the work, right? And that is different than this passive promotion from a privileged position of this, like, oh, well, yeah, I get it. But eventually people will get it. Well, eventually people are going to suffer too in the meantime.
Right.
And that's where I struggle with, this whole ranked choice voting kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I've made a point of understanding it so that I could, like, educate other people, but it takes a lot of work to do, right? Because most people are not paying attention to it.
Okay. All right, let's see. We have more. Let's see. I bet Chris Cuomo is losing his mind about his brother's loss. I'm tired of both Cuomos. No more Cuomo. No mo Cuomo. Love it, Bubba. Thank you.
I love that.
No mo Cuomo. I love it. Thanks, Bubba. Let's see. All positions should have term limits. Yes, I think that's a good point. All right, we are through the.
I think that, term limits, I don't know how I feel about that either, because, like, what happens in Palm Beach County is that somebody gets term limited out of a seat, and we still have the gerontology thing going on, right? Gerontocracy thing going on, because they term out of one position and then they jockey for position to another position that's term limited out. And it's always still the same old, tired, retreaded tires.
So let's use Lois Frankel in 22 as an example.
100%.
Okay, she was the mayor of West Palm Beach.
Termed out. Before that, she was a House rep, termed out.
Okay. And now she's going to take her leave from this realm from her seat in 22.
Right.
That's probably the plan.
All right, let's get Eric real quick. Eric in Tampa, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Politicians on both sides make it a career. The founding fathers, when they came along, they went up and did service, and then they went home because they had to get back to work on their farms. And today it's a lifelong career. Look at Bill Nelson. Lives in a $5 million home in Orange County, Florida. How does Bill Nelson, a Democrat, afford a $5 million home on the senator's salary?
Good question.
And it's on both sides. It's not just Democrat.
Right.
And the election in New York, I take great interest in. Child care, affordable housing, those are all great ideas, and I agree everybody should be able to do it. But, a lot of the child care thing are single parents. You see these parents, well, where's the father? Where's the working father? And it gets a little old that the taxpayers need to fund someone's single parent family.
Well, it's unfortunate that we're running out of time, because I would love to take on that question. Give us a call next week and we'll hash that out, okay?
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you. All right. So thank you to Joe, who sat in for Frank today. There's no Frank to give me the finger, so I had to give myself the finger. But anyway.
I'm going to have you to calm down. I'm going to have to ask you to calm down. We're on the radio.
Thank you so much for listening to Surly Voices on WMNF Tampa 88.5. Please join us next week for more shenanigans. And in the meanwhile, stay surly.